Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911, Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, your host. Hey, today we are joined by Rita Katona, co-founder and chair of SoGoodSoYou. It's a probiotic juice company, and they've got a new product, or a product that's already in the market, called BtrBtl, and that's BtrBtl, Better Bottle. It's a organic, cold-pressed, probiotic-rich fruit and vegetable shot to give you energy, to help your digestion. And we've got the founders on today to join us and tell us about the company. How are you doing today? How's life in the pandemic for you all?
We're great, wonderful. And actually, my husband and co-founder and CEO, Eric Hall, is joining this podcast as well. We are surviving and doing the best we can, and are thrilled to be on the podcast with you. We're also sustainability crusaders and founded the company 6 years ago now, really with the goal of helping people make more conscious decisions about their health and make decisions that are also in the best interest of the planet and environment.
Now, you two, part of the company's origin story is your proposal on a beach and your shared commitment to sustainability. What about plant-based beverages, and particularly probiotic shots, was compelling to you, and how does this fit into a healthy lifestyle?
So our shots are really potent, they're potent, nature-packed goodness. We firmly believe that everything grows on this planet for a specific reason, and holistic ways of taking better care of ourselves are at our fingertips. And so each of our 8 functional shots features a specific functional ingredient. For example, our immunity shot with ginger as the functional ingredient really helps anti-inflammation, supports your immune system, and is just a wonderful general way for proactive healthcare management. All of the products are very nutrient dense, so they're in these little 1.7 ounce bottles, which we'll talk about the Better Bottle, our new packaging initiative. But we firmly believe that a plant-based diet is the single most important choice that any person can make for a meaningful impact on the planet. And whether they're making that choice once a day with one meal, or they're making that choice over and over again consistently over years, they have that opportunity to make an impact every time that they pick up a fork, or every time they sit down to eat a meal. So it was important to us from the beginning that we set the mission and the values of the company as one that would be plant-based.
So these shots are very small, as you say, about a little more than an ounce. And usually when you think of juice, you think of something you gulp down rather than take as a shot. How do you concentrate so much probiotic material in that tiny little bottle?
Sure. So they're just under 2 ounces, but they are like the size of a shot that you would do in a bar. And really the concentration is, so I want to clarify, nothing is actually concentrated. It's just a ratio of the most potent plant-based ingredients. So for example, when we launched 6 years ago, we had a large format 16 ounce cold pressed juice line. And we had some flavors that had ginger in them. Our immunity shot, which again, the hero ingredient there is organic cold pressed ginger juice, has more ginger in that one little 1.7 ounce shot than our 16 ounce juices had in that entire bottle. And so we really chose to highlight that most functional, important ingredient in each of the shots. And each shot has 1 billion probiotic colony forming units in them. And so, as we all know, our gut health is intricately linked to our overall health and our immunity. And so through those 1 billion probiotic CFUs, all of our functional shots help support a healthy immune system and healthy digestion.
So let's talk about a couple of the different flavors. What makes this sleep ball effective?
So the active ingredients in the sleep shot are California poppy extract, and everything is organic, and lavender extract. And both of those ingredients are relatively new for use in a food or a beverage. They've been used in different supplement formats, but both of them help to calm the nervous system and support a healthy relaxation and sleep response in the body. Everything, what's beautiful about plants and plant-based ingredients is that they just help your body do what it normally does more efficiently.
Now, you also have an energy shot that is made with coffee berry. Now, is that undried and roasted coffee?
No, I'm going to actually let Eric talk about that because this is one of his favorite product lines.
So the coffee berry is coming from the coffee fruit, and it is a company that we partner with, and they have a proprietary extraction that actually takes the fruit and then dries and extracts the caffeine from this as well as the other nutrients. Mm-hmm. And so the benefit is that because the caffeine and the other nutrients have not been roasted, just like any of our functional shots, all the nutrients are still readily available to the consumer when we put that into the product.
And let's also talk about the beauty shot. It's powered by living silica, which I frankly had never even heard of. What is that?
Silica is a baseline ingredient that everyone needs to produce collagen. So one of the great things that's happening right now in the health and wellness space, and I'm sure you're aware of this as are your listeners, is that collagen has just been on the rise, and you see it pretty much being added to everything. Well, the science of collagen is that when you ingest it, it's too large of a nutrient or a molecule for your body to actively use. So what it does what it does with everything else. It breaks it down into its essential ingredients. And the main one that benefits our body is silica. The reality is that as we age, silica is harder and harder for our body to process and ingest. But if you're able to give it in a way that's very available or has a high bioavailability, such as ingesting raw collagen or using a proprietary ingredient as we did for our beauty shot that is vegan and plant-based, you are able to then give your body the nutrients it needs to do what it does better, which is make the collagen you need and the elastin in your body.
Now, how does a consumer find this, and what does this cost? Do you buy it in a per bottle basis, or do you have packs?
So currently we are carried coast to coast in over 4,000 locations. Some of our large national retailers where you can find our products are like Target, for example. On the Southeast, we are in Publix. We're up and down the West Coast and pavilion stores and have wonderful retail partnerships. Our store finder on our webpage, you can plug in your zip code and easily find locations near you. Currently, the products are sold individually for around $329 to $399 retail individually. And we are going to be launching a 4-pack of our immunity and energy shot in select markets in the Southeast, and we'll be rolling those out throughout our distribution network.
Great. Now, let's also talk about the BtrBtl.
Yes.
This is the new packaging that you've created. It has increased biodegradation. Now, can you explain what that means to us?
Yes, absolutely. So this has been a long-time passion project of both of ours, but Eric really leading this charge with the operations team. So I'll let him talk about this, but we were very excited to make the announcement that starting June, all of our products will be shipping in the new BtrBtl, and it will look exactly the same as our products look currently. So it won't look any different to consumers, but it has a far more optimized end-of-life result for the packaging.
And I'll back up and say, for the 6 years since we founded the company, the mission and our tagline, for the love of body and planet, sums up the reason why we do what we do and the approach that we take. So I'm proud to say that even before we launched the BtrBtl, we always look at not being, are we doing enough for the environment? But the question is, can we do more? And hopefully that is an adage that each view or each listener takes, as well as each company takes. Because together, if we keep thinking every day how we can do more, then a lot of change can happen. So I'm proud to say that we're a zero waste manufacturing facility, which means we divert over 96% of all waste from landfills. We are powered 100% by renewable energy. Our bottles were always made from recycled PET. And as we began to start to look and see how we can do more, we reached out to see how we can better understand the impact that plastic is having on the planet and how, as an emerging smaller company, we actually can make a difference here. And one of the things we realized in our study was that while there's a lot of great bioplastics coming out or alternatives, they're still years away from mass availability. However, we were able to find, we did also learn, to our surprise, that a large amount, close to 90% of all plastic in America that you put in a recycling bin ends up in a landfill.
Yep.
Close to 70% of all glass that you put in a recycling bin ends up in a landfill. And so recognizing what happens with a consumer's journey once they make a purchase and where that actually lands up diverted our attention from looking at 3 to 4 years out being able to have a solution that is compostable to having a solution today that accelerates landfill biodegradation. So we partnered with other companies to be able to bring to market a solution that when this bottle goes into a recycling bin and ends up in a recycling stream, it gets recycled. But if that recycling stream or if that bottle goes into the trash and ends up in a commercial landfill,
which we know 86 to 90% of the time will happen. I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to pause because that was such a slap in the face or gut punch when I learned that number. It's really crazy. And so we're excited about this new solution as being our biggest innovation for the planet to date. And when that bottle ends up in a landfill, which we know it will, based on the effectiveness of the current recycling system in the United States, it will accelerate, it will biodegrade at an accelerated rate and convert to usable energy. And it breaks down completely, so no microplastics. It breaks down to soil, water, and carbon-based gases. And so it really just optimizes that end of life cycle.
So now, would it require industrial composting? The difference between, for folks listening, there's regular composting and industrial composting, which achieves a higher temperature. Is this required in order to break this down completely, or does it work just with regular landfill activity?
So it is not compostable fully. So in other words, if a person has a compost in the backyard, do not put this bottle in that. However, if it does go to the industrial landfill, the process that is done there will break this down at a far more accelerated rate, to the degree that in the first tests that were conducted, in a little over a year, close to 40% of it breaks down.
And that's in comparison to untreated plastic. It would be less than 2% biodegradation during that time frame.
Right. Now, obviously, the ability for this to break down in the landfill is kind of a backstop because of how poor the recycling system is. But have you looked at how you can improve the recycling of the bottles themselves? Are you considering programs, mail-in programs, or other kinds of return systems that would allow you to recapture that material and use it again?
Great question. When we've looked at the process of our product line and we considered anything like a mail-in, the ecological footprint of that additional mailing pretty much negates any sort of value that we would have to fully control. And the reality is that recyclability is more and more prevalent throughout the United States. And we wanted to find a solution, as we always do, that works within consumers' existing patterns with things that are convenient to them. Because our goal is always to make sustainability easy for everyone.
Now let's talk about sustainability. From the day you started the company, it's been a central focus. Is sustainability essential to a successful business these days, or is it still something that's nice to have?
I wish I could say it was essential. But what I will say is that the tide is changing.
It's essential for us, for our
Right.
company.
Right, but as industry as
Yes.
a whole, right?
Yeah.
But I believe that what is happening is a couple of really positive things. First of all, consumer awareness is shifting. And the fact is companies and industries will change processes and products based on consumer demand. So the more awareness that is out there, the more demands that consumers are putting on specific industries, the more rapidly change will occur. The second thing that is happening, and this is a personal passion of mine, is that most companies historically have looked at investments into sustainability as an expense. Because the reality is that the immediate cost of doing things in a more sustainable way is there is an increase. However, what we've been able to prove through our company, and we're not alone in this journey, that it is not an expense upfront, but an investment you make in the long term. And when you do things that are more sustainable and better to the environment, and this is an authentic story that is true to your brand, it can form a bridge to connect with your consumer, that can build loyalty, and that can increase the sustainability of your company, candidly.
Now, it's interesting because a moment ago you mentioned if you do a mailing, that offsets all of the benefits of the rest of the process. How have you achieved the level of insight into your supply chain that allows you to say something like that in detail? You know, to understand that there really is that narrow margin between sustainable and non-sustainable.
That is a good question. So the first is that, to clarify, all of our bottles are single use. So if we were to get them back, they are not in a condition per the FDA that we can reuse them at that time. So then the question is are we assisting to get it to a proper recycling facility? And if you look at the units that we ship out every single month, and you think of an individual package that's going to have to be made for that, you think of a letter, which is it's not going to fit in a normal envelope. It's going to have to be stamped. It's going to have to be put through the U.S. mail. It's going to have to be thrown on a truck. And you have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of units per month having to be sent back in. And then if you also think of the factor of the success rate of this. So early on in our packaging, we had conversations on Tetra Pak and other great options out there. And when we looked at recycling and upcycling programs there, even when you have redemption rates or incentives to mail it back in, at best, and mind you, this may be outdated, you're looking at a smaller percentage. Under 20% of products are actually returned, even with an economic incentive on that. So what we tried to do is we tried to see not how do we create a system with a 20% return, but how do we actually create a system working within the ease of larger systems that exist and that consumers are used to already.
And again, it was going back to our original goal and values and mission as a company is to make health and sustainability easy, accessible for people to actually do something. And so really this put the ownership on us as a company to create a package that didn't require a change in behavior. We're not passing along any sort of cost increases to the consumer. They do what they normally would with the product, whether they recycle or throw it away, whether it ends up being properly recycled or it ends up in a landfill. It optimizes the total life cycle of the package. And we're certainly not stopping here. So we came up with this solution to work within a system that is unfortunately really broken. But we are on a longer journey, and our customers are coming on that journey with us towards a package that will one day be fully ocean biodegradable.
You know, so we're in the midst of a disruption where we started this conversation with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Do you think that now is an opportunity for companies like yours to refocus consumers' efforts on behalf of the planet?
We certainly are using the positive side effects of the planet having slowed down due to much of much of the world's population having to stay at home, and highlighting those things and using that as a catalyst for continued conversations around all of the daily choices that we make, from what products that we purchase in the store, from how often we do that, to what we eat at every meal, like I started out with.
Well, I want to thank both of you, Rita, Katona, and Eric Hall, for joining us today. Folks, check out SoGoodSoYou.com. That's all one word, SoGoodSoYou.com. And take a look both at the probiotic shots and the new Mind Tonics, which we didn't even get to, but you'll be introducing that, or it'll be landing in retail soon. So let's come back and talk about that and more progress towards sustainability. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Mitch.
Well, thanks, folks. Do check out the site. And this is Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. This has been another Innovator interview, and we'll be back with you soon. Everybody, stay safe, stay well.